welcome to Cut It With a Hammer. This is the second part of my last episode of the Road to a Slider series. So today I'm going to talk more about the shaper, and we're going to pick up pretty much where we left off in the last video. So let's get started. I will go get the shaper hood and show you what that looks like that installed. So here's the shaper fence. You can use this to access the shaper head. I've only used it once, so I'm not. So this would allow you to access the shaper head. And like I said, I'll do another video, some more videos with the shaper. And here's another dust collection port. This is a 5-inch port. There's another 5-inch port on the saw itself. But we don't use that one when we're using the shaper. So, here's the fence, and it's adjustable. I will definitely be looking at putting sacrificial wooden fence on here. So this is where the power feeder would go when using it with the shaper. You feed the wood in either this way or this way, depending on which way you're cutting. And that would keep your hands out of the way, provides a consistent feed rate, and make sure that the wood stays up against the fence. There are a couple more things I wanted to add. On the comfort package for this particular saw, that comes with the outrigger table and the outrigger bar. Now, if you're not going to go with the comfort package, you go down one step and you get the miter bar with a typical miter attachment that can go anywhere along this slot. And if you're using the shaper, you probably don't want to have this in the way, so I will show you how it comes off fairly easily. I don't have a place to put this at the moment. And then the outrigger comes right off. And the outrigger can be most anywhere you want. I mean, theoretically, you could put it on that end, but the outrigger arm won't reach that far. So. The other thing I failed to mention is the angle adjustment on the shaper. You can adjust it back also 45 degrees. That'll give you a little bit more flexibility in terms of what you can cut with the shaper. I also want to show you more of the shaper part. So I've got a couple of shaper heads here. One is the shaper block. It has replaceable knives. These are high-speed steel knives and not carbide. So the head is what costs, this part right here is what costs the most amount of money. And then you replace the blades with the various shapes or profiles that you need. This particular one came with a small assortment of profiles, and you can use them to cut various edges along your wood, depending on if you needed you can have a large curve here, or you can have a small curve here, depending on how you mount the blade and run it through your wood through the shaper. They all come in. They also come with, this is a European style shaper head, which means it comes with not only the cutting knives, it also comes with limiting knives, and this limits how much cut the shaper head will make, and that prevents you from losing more than just a little bit of a finger if you accidentally cut your finger in there. If you look at the online catalogs for some of the American brands, you're going to find that there are like big gaps where in front of the blade, where if you were to get like a finger or something there, it could easily pull your finger off and pull your hand into the blade. So these are safer, and on this saw I could have gotten an 1.25 inch arbors for both the shaper and for the saw blades, but I decided to go with the 30 millimeter to give me a little bit bigger variety in terms of various blades or shaper heads that I'd be interested in. And since a lot of them come out of Europe, to me, you may look and decide differently, that 30 millimeter wasn't a bad choice. This is a groover head. Again, there's the block and then there's the blades, and you just replace the blades. You don't have to replace the blocks, so the expense is in the head, and then the blades are relatively inexpensive. And this is a groover blade. It comes apart, and if it was on the spindle, you could add some spacers to adjust how thick the groove is you're cutting. And you also get a set of very important gloves, because these are very sharp. All these parts are very snug, very tight tolerances. And then I do have the option of replacing the spindle with something that would hold router bits. And I'm contemplating doing that just because there's some router bits I would still want to use, and I do have a dovetail jig that uses a router table, so I'm considering that. And these rings are removable for larger shaper heads. So anyway, that's the shaper part. A little bit more detail. The first project I did with my saw was a table saw cart for blades and storage. So, and all the various blades, storage for the tools. We'll talk about some of the other accessories later, but I usually keep this right here where I can get access to it when I'm changing the blades. So, this is just a quick tour of my Hammer B3. I've had it for a month now, and I'm very glad I bought it. I will go in a more in-depth review about things I like and things I don't like about it, but for now, I'm pretty happy, and I'm looking forward to many years of woodworking with the saw. So like, subscribe, ask some questions down below if you want, and we'll see you in the next video.